Welcome to the Peace Purpose Paid Podcast, the place where healing meets ambition, where your past does not disqualify you, it prepares you, where we talk about the real journey of rebuilding your life from the inside out. This podcast is for people who have been through the fire, the survivors, the dreamers, the ones who refuse to stay stuck in survival mode. Here we talk about mental healing, financial growth, personal power, and walking boldly in your calling. Because the truth is, you were never meant to just survive life. You were meant to build a life that gives you peace in your mind, purpose in your soul, and prosperity in your hands. So whether you're driving, working, healing, rebuilding, or chasing your next level, welcome home. This is the Peace Purpose Paid Podcast. I am Lisa. I am your host. Today's episode is titled Peace, the Foundation of Everything. Because too many people are living stressed, overwhelmed, and constantly fighting battles they never asked for. But here is something that I had to learn in my own life. You cannot build purpose, you cannot build wealth, you cannot build a meaningful life if your mind is constantly at war. And that's what today's episode is all about. Today we are talking about peace. Not the kind of peace that people post about on social media, not the fake peace where people pretend everything is perfect and everything is, but the real peace. The kind of peace that exists even when life isn't perfect. When most people hear the word peace, they imagine like silence, calm, maybe a beach somewhere with no responsibilities, right? But the real peace goes much deeper than that. Real peace is internal stability. It's the ability to remain grounded even when the world around you is chaotic. And if you've lived through survival mode, if you've lived through trauma or stress or heartbreak, then you know how rare that kind of peace can feel. Because when your mind has been trained to expect danger constantly, peace can feel really unfamiliar. Sometimes it even feels uncomfortable. And many people don't realize this, guys, but when you've lived in survival mode long enough, chaos starts to feel normal. Stress becomes your baseline. Your nervous system is always on high alert. You're always scanning for the next problem, the next bill, the next disappointment, the next conflict, and when you've lived like that long enough, you really forget what peace feels like. But here's something powerful that I really want you to hear, and I want you to hear this very, very clear today. Peace is not something that magically appears in your life. Peace is something that must be intentionally created and protected. It's not accidental. It's a decision. A decision about what you allow into your life and what you refuse to carry anymore. One of the biggest lessons that people learn on their journey to peace, and I had to learn this lesson hard. Not everything deserves access to you. Not every conversation, not every relationship, not every opinion. Some people will drain your energy. Some environments will constantly disrupt your peace. And one of the hardest, and this is really hard, but it's really, really necessary. One of the hardest but most necessary steps in life is learning when to step away from what harms you. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. One of the hardest but most necessary steps in life is learning when to step away from what harms you. And that might be toxic relationships, that could be negative environments, or even the voice inside your own head that tells you you're not enough. Peace requires boundaries, even boundaries with yourself. Self-discipline. Another important part of peace is healing, because unresolved pain has a way of following us into every area of our lives. If someone has really hurt you deeply, if you feel like life has really knocked you down, if you've experienced trauma or betrayal, ignoring those wounds doesn't make them disappear. They simply stay buried beneath the surface. And eventually, they're going to show up as anger. They're going to show up as anxiety, distrust, or even constant emotional exhaustion. Healing is the process of finally saying, I am not running from this anymore. I am choosing to face this pain so it no longer controls my life. That process is difficult. Believe me when I say that is a difficult process, but it is one of the most powerful ways to reclaim your peace. Peace also comes from understanding your value. And I'm going to say that again for the people in the back, because a lot of y'all are going to miss this one. Peace also comes from understanding your value. Many people are living lives where they are constantly feeling like they have to prove themselves. They have to prove they're worthy, prove they're capable, prove they deserve love. Let me tell you something. And if you don't take anything else from what I'm telling you, I want you to take this with you. Your worth was never something you had to earn, okay? You were already valuable before anyone else had an opinion about you. And when you begin to really recognize that truth, you stop chasing validation. You stop allowing people to treat you like an option. And you begin creating a life that reflects your true value. That is peace. Now, here is when something really beautiful happens. When peace begins to enter your life, clarity follows. When your mind is no longer constantly fighting chaos, you start hearing a quieter voice. A voice that asks questions like, what do I really want out of life? What kind of impact do I want to make? What gifts do I have that the world needs? That voice is the beginning of purpose. Purpose often reveals itself in moments of peace, guys, not in moments of panic. And when someone finds peace and purpose, something really powerful begins to unfold then, because that's when they start building. That's when they start creating. That's when they start sharing their gifts to the world. And when you bring value into the world, when you solve problems, when you help people, that's when opportunity begins to appear. That's when income becomes possible, because purpose creates value and value creates opportunity. And that's why this message matters so much, because peace is not just emotional wellness. Peace is the foundation of everything else that you want to build in life. If you're listening today and your life has felt chaotic, if you feel like stress has been your normal for too long, I want you to know something, and I really want you to hear me when I tell you this. Peace is possible. Even if you haven't experienced it in a long time, peace is possible. Even if your past was filled with pain, peace is possible. Even if life has knocked you down more times than you can count, peace is possible. Peace is not about pretending nothing happened. Peace is about deciding that the pain of the past will not control the rest of your future. If something in this episode spoke to your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, because healing, growth, and transformation should never happen alone. And if you're ready to rebuild your life with intention, if you are ready to grow mentally, spiritually, and financially, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. Because around here, we believe your past does not define you. Your struggles do not disqualify you. And your story is not over. You still deserve a life filled with clarity, freedom, and abundance. And that is exactly what we are building together. So until next time, protect your peace, walk in your purpose, and get paid for the gifts God placed inside of you. Because when you live in alignment with who you truly are, That's why the mission is peace, purpose, paid.